So, all right. So I'd like to wish everyone very much welcome to the February meeting of the Austin Adobe user group. And the topic today is we're going to chat a little bit about InDesign and the new features that came out in the latest release. My name is Tom Berglie. I'm a resident of Austin, moved here from Norway a few years ago, and my background is from newspaper design and production, use PageMaker. We skipped Quark altogether and actually switched directly from PageMaker to InDesign. So I don't have much experience with Quark, though it is still around for those who really want to explore it. I wouldn't recommend it because I'm an InDesign person now. Anyway, so I also work here in Austin as a graphic designer, freelance. I do, I teach, I'm a certified instructor. I teach InDesign, Photoshop, Illustrator, and several more software packages. And for the last year or so, I also have a full-time engagement with a software company, and I do localization of software. So, but I will never leave InDesign. It's one of my favorite tools of all time. And this is what we're going to talk about today. So, and since we're a manageable group here, and I'm happy we have all these people here, but we're still manageable, so we can do this as a conversation. I know a lot of you guys are using InDesign. You might have questions, comments. I think that will just be a wonderful contribution. I'm very easily digressed when I teach. I can, if I get an interesting question, I can go on and ramble on, you know, for hours about something that is completely off topic, but it's also often a lot of fun. Anyway, I started, actually I was there in San Francisco. I think it was in 98 or 99 when the secret thing that Adobe had found in the bottom of a drawer when they acquired Aldus Corporation was codenamed K2, and it is what we know today. So it was a pre-release demonstration of the capabilities of InDesign. And then I think in 99, they launched the first version of InDesign, which was honestly useless for any practical purpose, but it was a lot of fun. Of course, the marketing people said it's going to be a core killer, and the engineers pulled their hair and said, we can't even jump up and scratch their knee, you know, or anything like that. We can't, but, you know, then come 1.5, which was actually practical, usable. Then come version 2, and it was awesome. And you know, after CS6, you have to subscribe. So I wrote a textbook on CS6, and I hear it's still selling. I think they're still reprinting it back in Norway because it was the last version where you could actually buy a lifetime license. So a lot of people are sticking with InDesign CS6 for that particular reason. So the book is still useful. So, well, anyway, that's it. Let's see. I have this mock magazine here on my screen. I hope you can see it. This is actually one of the templates that ship with InDesign, or I shouldn't really say ship with InDesign because
message.
Yeah, everything is in the cloud now, so it's included kind of. If you want to start a new document, you get the screen where you can browse all kinds of different documents. You have all the default empty documents. You have all kinds of templates for all kinds of printed matter.
Could you go back to the last screen and where you were showing those diagrams? I couldn't discern what was the difference between them. Oh, the sizes.
Yeah,
well,
the sizes and the aspect ratio.
Yeah, it's the well, it's the sizes and also the well, I'm jumping ahead here a little bit, but also the unit of measurements, all the settings for each document.
The resolution.
Yeah, but not also the unit of measurement. So in this case, the one I selected here is actually set up to use pixels, 920 by 1080, which
looks
matches
like a web
HD.
frame.
If you're going to make something for the TV screen, for instance, or for movies or, you know, video editing or stuff like that. So, and if you see here at the top, this is actually the only big point I want to make at this point, and that is that InDesign was started as and still as a leading specialized tool for all kinds of print publications, right? So if I select print over here at the top, you see that it will be focused on print, all kinds of print presets and sizes, tabloid here, and of course you got all the European, or should I say ISO sizes, you know, the A sizes like A4 and A3 and all that stuff. Of course, you had all these templates that you can use, and I just picked one, like a rudimentary magazine layout to create a mock document to work on during this presentation. So, but you can go here and you can actually search here even from the bottom of the screen and search the Adobe stock service for commercially available templates that you can pay for, you know, and get the right to use. Some of them are free over there as well, but most of them are now actually you have to pay for them. But if you look over here, you see InDesign is no longer limited to the print world. So what I've been doing in my job is very often create a print publication that is actually being printed and distributed. And also then we repurpose that same contents for online publications. And you can choose here if you want to create something for a mobile screen, for instance, you can go here. Yeah, I still have my iPhone 6 Plus, so if I want to make something that exactly fits the screen, I can pick it from here. And when you switch here, you will also see that the setup down here will actually, I mean, the selection of available templates here will change a little bit as well. So there you go. That's what InDesign is. Let me just move here to the next spread, because like I said, this is just a simple mock of a magazine. It's actually kind of, in all its simplicity, I think it's kind of charming. What I like best is probably the color scheme, which is very down to earth. But all these blobs here, I'm not sure, I didn't create these guys, but they're over here. I'm not really sure what they're for, but if you look through this whole document, you will see that they're present everywhere. So it's just something you can use. You know, you don't have to start from scratch. You can start with something simple like this, and this, of course, is it's a free template. I didn't pay for this one. Here's a little this, and all the text in here is actually dummy text as well, except for I put in some of the keywords of what we're going to talk about here. And of course, they say here that one of the biggest news with this release is the enhanced performance. And I mean, whenever did they do an upgrade of any software, and they didn't say exactly that, right? So I'm not going to spend any time on that. I'm just going to take their word for it. And then we're going to talk about a little bit about these other things. But anyway, let me go here to I have cheated a little bit. There are some pages in here already. Let me see. Let me just jump to the spread here in the back of the magazine. And we had somebody said that somebody you guys might get some flashbacks when you see these images.
Yeah.
I'm just going to go to full screen mode. You know, you got to do Shift W. You get a full screen mode in InDesign now. It's very, very cool.
Shift W.
Shift W. It's called.
That is crazy how long it took that to get that in. That's really
yeah, no, it is cool. Of course, when we got it, I wanted to be interactive too, but you can't really do much. You can just flip the page.
Are you kidding me?
How do you get out of it?
I use it for my own benefit.
Toggle out or escape?
Just Shift W. It's called presentation mode.
Okay.
I don't, for years, I never used PowerPoint for years now. I use InDesign because it is my main tool, right? In conjunction with Illustrator and InDesign when I make presentations. And if I don't need anything to move around, I can just use InDesign as my presentation tool.
Yeah.
But if you want like transitions or stuff like that, of course, I'll export it to a PDF and I add those transitions and whatever needs to be live in Acrobat instead. But anyway, this is the core of InDesign, believe it or not, the good old paste up, the good old paste up board. I have cuts in my fingers. We were using scalpels, you know, like this lady over here. She's holding a sharp scalpel and a ruler.
An X-Acto blade.
Yeah, I was at close to deadline in a daily newspaper, and I was working on this page. And well, I'm gonna spare you the details, but I put my ruler. I'm gonna cut, you know, the text, the column of text out of the photo typesetter. I didn't notice I put the scalpel actually on top of the ruler instead, and you can just imagine. They had to redo that page because they couldn't get all the blood off of it. But I still have that scar on the tip of my finger to remind me of all these cool days. You know? So, and why is this important? Well, it's important because it's the metaphor that shapes the whole user interface of InDesign. You work exactly the same way. It did, because I started using these tools, like I know quite a lot of you guys have done as well. And you might remember the glue and the wax, the hot wax.
Non-photo blue.
Oh man, yeah, non-photo blue and also the red acetate, you know, placeholder.
Amberless.
Yeah,
Ruby.
and everything.
So we did that
here-
in high school. We used it for silkscreen, the amber.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But we didn't use photo like Andy Warhol did. We cut them out by hand.
Yeah, we did black and white autotypes where I was working, but we did not do colors. So we had a separate you know, department that handled color pictures and did the film to plate, because of course there was no computer to plate. We did use computers though, but anyway. So all right, so let me see if I can try to show you just real quick. And I know this is, since all of you, well, most of you are familiar with InDesign, I'm going to cut this a little short, but I'm going to play. So you paste basically everything. I'm in preview mode now, but if you go out here and if I go out here and zoom out a little bit, and you will see that my pages are actually sitting here on a virtual pasteboard. So what you see here, this white thing that extends beyond the actual page size here is called a pasteboard. And if you right click here, you can see here you have stuff like, I can view the entire pasteboard. I can match the pasteboard to theme color, which I'm so old fashioned, I don't like that. But if I do that, the pasteboard becomes gray, makes it a little bit easier to see the actual pages, but I don't like it for, well, first of all, it didn't used to be like that. And secondly, because you can just press W real quick, as long as you're not in the text frame, and switch to preview.
As long as you're not in a text frame. I have typed so many extraneous W's. I'm doing that.
I'm with you, Carol. I do a lot of extraneous A's when I'm trying to select all.
Yeah.
So, when I wrote my first book about InDesign, that was CS5. You know what? I'm just like any of you guys who try to explain something to somebody else about how these works. And I know, Dot, you were talking about that.
Yeah.
I discovered really, because I had a team of workers, a team of designers, typographers working on page layout in Computerworld Norway. And I just, you know, I created all the templates and all the systems, you know, more or less. So, and I just discovered that you can, if I say it like this, nobody understands anything. But if I just put it out a little differently, they get it, you know. So, and you need to cut it up in little chunks and stuff like that. So, in the first book about InDesign, I reduced the toolbar here to like 3 tools, you know, because, or you can actually see, you know, what do you use like 90% of the time? Yeah, it's two tools. It's the black arrow, you know, the selection tool, and it's the type tool. You can basically do almost anything with those two tools. The other tools are for special, use that if you want to draw something, or if you want to, skew something or manipulate something or something like that. But most of the time you can actually get around with those two tools. And it's true. So here I have a text frame. If I click on the text frame using the selection tool, of course, that whole frame gets selected. But now I want to edit that text. I want to enter that text. So what is the fastest way to switch tools here? I'm sure some of you know.
Double click.
You double click. You just double click with the selection tool on a text frame, and not only does it switch to the InDesign switches to the type tool, but it also places the insertion point exactly where you double click. So then you will work here, and then Carol, you want to go the other way because you can't press W now because you want to go into preview mode, right? And hide all the non-printing objects. And you cannot do Shift W either, will be the presentation mode, because you will, of course, enter a W in the text, and that's not what you want. And I've seen, even in the countries where I can't read the language, I can see at the bottom of column, I see like a totally random lowercase or uppercase W. And I'm just thinking, oh yeah, these guys are using InDesign. But anyway, so what do? You press escape. You press the escape key. That is when you're in text editing mode, you switch back to the black
There
arrow.
used to be some combination of the space bar.
Oh, you can, yeah, that was, yeah, you can do a lot of things. I mean, there's a lot of things you can do. If you press down Control on the space bar, for instance, you get the zoom tool. And if you just press the space bar, you will get the hand tool. But you still can't do that thing.
You can't get out of it
if it's unmodified, as long as you're in the text frame. So how do you?
I would
so
think
you
that there'd be
double-click
some
to-
documentation showing all of these shortcuts.
Oh, it's a book.
Oh,
Well,
Okay.
Anne-Marie used to make a giant poster for InDesign Secrets. Like, I think the last one I have is CS5.
Yeah.
There, like you could win it or you could buy it or whatever. And it was this big wall poster of everything.
I'm collecting them. They're
Are you
all
really?
over the internet. Yeah, they're all over. But what you do, you go here to the edit menu. It says edit keyboard shortcuts.
mhm.
Yeah.
And of course, you create your own. Everybody should have their own set of keyboard shortcuts, right? And a good thing now, when you create a new set, you want to try to change some of those keyboard shortcuts. They force you to create a copy. And there was a time when they didn't. And of course, we all ruined the default set and got lost in everything, Yeah. But anyway, so you can customize any shortcut. You can remove shortcuts. We had this April 1st prank at Computer World. I switched. That was on Mac. I Shift Command S and Command W,
What?
which is pretty mean, because the Command W will close the document, right?
Yes.
Whereas Command S will save it. So
Ah,
I had to switch it back pretty quickly. But anyway, you can change anything. And all those commands, there's so many commands here that do not have any shortcuts to begin with, that you might be using a lot. And I can show you a couple of quick examples. But the reason I come to think about this is here, this button, Show Set. It says Show Set. It will open up a list of absolutely all
wow.
not only the shortcuts. It will also list all those commands that have no shortcut defined. So it's basically a list of all the commands present in the program, and a lot of them are not documented anywhere else. Like, did you know that if you have working with a lot of documents open, I do that when I work with books. I have separate chapters in separate files, and I have them all open at the same time. And you can see that little asterisk thing that you can see over there, little star, tells you that you have unsaved changes in that particular document. And then you want to save all those documents. There is a command for that, but it's not here where you would look for it on the file menu. But if you go here to the in here and you search for, what is that? Find, save all. Oh, that was not a good demonstration. Have they removed the command? Save all. Yeah, it's there somewhere. Oh, I need to search the other direction. This is a very primitive text editor.
It is.
And you will see here
Where's
that
the story editor?
save all open documents. It's Shift Control Alt S, like Shift Command Option S, you know. And the same with close all documents, you know, the W, if you use those three combination. So there's a lot of stuff in here that you, so, I mean, if you want to create a poster like that, or you want to, you know, just some nerds like, I'm not naming names here, but it's not too far from where I'm sitting. I printed this, and I can't read stuff like that when I go to bed because it will keep me awake, right? Because it's so but what I did do though, because InDesign, the international English version of InDesign, and believe me, there is one, it's like a British English version. And it says color, all the color panels are spelled with a U, right? Color U,
Sure.
color. But
Sure.
anyway, it ships with specialized keyboard shortcuts for all the European languages. And one thing I wanted to see what are different, you know, so I created this English set here, pasted it into Excel, right? Like in a column in Excel, and I pasted the Norwegian keyboard shortcuts right next to it. And then you can create a formula that will highlight it if they're different, right? And then it just popped out like whatever background color or whatever you want. So I could actually see, just scrolling down, easily see which one are different, which is useful when you teach, right? So, and you have somebody using English version and somebody using Norwegian version of the software. Well, anyway, like I said, I digress easily, and I just love it talking about stuff like that. But again, two tools, basically, to rule them all. And all the other tools you will use when you need them, right? So, and you can place almost anything and everything into InDesign now. You can work like these people are working. You know, so you can place stuff here on the pasteboard, and you can cut it like we did, you know, which of course you don't have to do anymore, and you don't have to put them through those terrible wax machines. But you literally put it onto the page like that, and text as well. It's all in frames. And because the competitor Quark Express called them boxes, of course, in InDesign, we are not allowed to call them boxes. We call them frames. Very important. So you will see a lot of commands here that have to do with you know, select like container content, what's inside a frame. And you will go to, let me see, which one I'm looking for. Yeah, like these fit commands, you know, like they call fill frame proportionally, and some is fit frame to content, all those things. So, those are called frames. Now, it's easy to place stuff. Yeah, and by the way, one of the most common question I get from people who try to teach themselves InDesign on their own, so where's the import command? I'm trying to import something, and they look at the file menu, and there is basically nothing. There's import XML and import PDF comments, but you know, and where is it? Well, it's right here. It's called place, because remember the pasteboard metaphor, we've got to place something on the page, right? So if I have this picture already selected, when I go here and want to place something, it will be replaced. You know, that's the easiest way to replace something if you already put it on the page. So I've just prepared some of the hundreds, I think, of file formats that you can actually put in here. Of course, this is the Windows way showing. I just learned that Ed Bengett died,
Yeah, he just died
in October last year. It's very,
yeah.
very sad. I met him in 2000 in Berlin on a typography conference. I took lots of pictures, and I got his autograph and everything, you know. If you ever, well, I was working with this in the 80s and the 90s, and I swear more than 50% of the fonts we were using at that point were designed by this gentleman. So,
Right?
and I have him right here, actually. This is actually the
I
very
was
same.
just Googling fonts by Ed Bengat just like yesterday.
Oh yeah. And his most popular font is actually named after him. So you will see the Bengat font.
That's the one they use for Stranger Things on Netflix.
Yeah,
You're right.
I noticed it immediately. I was like, what?
Yeah.
Okay, super 80s. got
Bengat
it.
bold.
Yeah, it's a big family of fonts, but he's a legend. I included these. You see these? Well, you don't see them because this is a small preview. But you know, all these fonts that are on this display here, and that's the guy himself.
I
Very
forgot
fun.
about Corinna. I never.
I'm so
knew.
sad. I was so sad to hear he
Eras.
passed away. He's
Yeah.
awesome. This is from Tipo Berlin 2008. I wasn't there then. I was there in 2000. And that's when I met him. But anyway, so these are just a few of the sample of the files you can actually place, you know, directly into InDesign. And of course, you would, as you would expect, all kinds of graphic formats, you know, image formats, vector, pixel, what have you, you know, almost everything. And more importantly, you see I have Adobe Illustrator files here that are in the native Illustrator format, as well as Photoshop native files. And that is the recommended file format these days because—
Isn't that crazy? When they used to go, no, you have to have a low res, really small JPEG, and then we'll put the other one in later. And
yeah,
it had to be a TIFF. And I love that.
know.
I love that our
EPS.
community can do that.
But by the way, if you do that, there is a function, I think it's on by default in InDesign now, that if you, because I mean, that workflow is still relevant in the sense that you might download from like Adobe stock or from Shutterstock or whatever. You can collect like a big bunch of low res images, and you put them on your layout, you crop them and zoom, you know, and do everything. So the deal is that when you, and this wasn't always the case, but when you later decide on which one you want and you actually pay for them, and you get the high resolution ones and you replace them, you probably want to edit them in Photoshop first. But either way, it will actually honor the positioning and the scaling and the cropping of the low resolution picture. So it will retain, and because that was something that wasn't there. And when they introduced it, of course, there's always somebody who will complain, I wanted the way it was before. So it's a setting under preferences where you can turn it off, but it's on by default at this point.
Right.
So I have GIFs here, I have Illustrator files, I have lots of JPEGs, I have a Photoshop file. I have this one. I'm not sure if you ever read this book. I want to talk a little bit
Yes,
about the
yes,
book.
I have it right on the shelf behind me.
Oh man, it's a classic. Man, I'm going to talk a little bit about that later. These pictures are basically something I want to suggest for alternative topics we can use these meetings for that are not like necessarily 100% aimed at software techniques, but more about design questions, compositions. I mean, all that stuff, you know. I can't see why couldn't we, you know, have like a topic like principles of composition, or, you know, fonts, what are fonts and how should you use them and stuff like that. That will be very, very relevant for all Adobe users, even though it doesn't necessarily, you know.
I thought that
Well, now-
was the program tonight.
I can't see the title of the book. The icons are too small.
Oh, I'm sorry, it's very small. It's called The Design of Everyday Things.
Okay,
The
thank you.
Design of Everyday Things.
I thought it was by Laura LeMay. It's by
He's
Donald Norman.
recently he's recently updated it. I think it's like 40 years since, no, 30 years or something since the first edition. But he has updated it. I just bought it on, I'm using the, what's it called again? The Nook book thing.
Or Kindle or
Barnes and Noble.
Oh,
Barnes
yeah.
and Noble reader, yeah. So I got the ebook there. It's awesome. I haven't read it all yet, but anyway, now I basically said what I'm going to end the presentation with already. So there you go. That's okay. So this is another cool thing you can do with. It doesn't show here, but you can actually place InDesign files, native InDesign files as well, directly into. So one InDesign file could be placed into a different InDesign file. You can choose the page you want to display, and it will be hot linked or live linked. So if you edit the other file, you know, you will get the update alert. So you can update them. Let's say you have ads in your magazine and you create the ads yourself in separate files. You can place you don't have to go through PDFs anymore. And finally, I'm not going to spend a lot of time showing this because I know I showed this many times before when we have InDesign meetings, but inside InDesign, every file format that has layers, and InDesign will be able to access those layers. You know, like you can turn on and off the visibility of layers in an Illustrator file, in a Photoshop file. In Photoshop, it also honors layer comps. You can choose the layer comp after you place the file inside of InDesign. And also PDFs can be layered, though they're usually not, but you can do the same thing there. Now, in this case, this is one of my presentations. This is a multi-page PDF that I've been working on before, and this is the one I'm looking for, just explaining the whole, you know, basic workflow in InDesign. Now, if I want to see import options, I just hold down the Shift key while I click Open. That will apply to every file format that is supported. You will get a different dialog box depending on the file format. Like if you import a Word file, it's massive. You know what you can do with and control when you import a Word file. And not least, you can strip away all the crazy stuff that people do in Word files that you don't really want, but you can still keep what you really want, you know. So it's I'm not planning to show that either. I'm just mentioning it. This is the PDF import thing. You can actually import all pages at once. You will get a loaded cursor with all the pages. You can place them in whatever order you want. In this case, I can even flip through the so I see which one I want. This is the one I want. And I happen to know that is page 4, so I could either just do this. I can go in here and just see. Okay, I want page 4. So so here I go, and in this case, I placed it here where there was a picture already, and of course, the incoming picture will just replace the selected one. Now that is a function a lot of people, especially beginners, get a little annoyed with, because that's maybe not what they wanted to happen, right? Because you accidentally had a frame selected and you didn't really want that. Remember that everything in this program is undoable. So if I undo this now, you see, I will actually get back. You know, you step backwards. You don't have to start over. So I did one scaling, and then I undid the actual placement of the file. So here I got it. And even when I have it here, like in my hand, remember the pasteboard metaphor? I have the picture in my hand. I can place it on the pasteboard or on the page or whatever. If at this point you want to replace an existing graphics, you need to hold down the Alt key or Option key, and then you will kind of shoot the picture in and replace the one that was there already. And then I'm going to do the fitting here. And since the PDF is honoring the transparent background, I'm going to just set the background of the frame itself here to whites or to papers. So it looks a little bit better. Now, in this case, I've turned on, I think, high resolution display to save computing power. InDesign will always show just a rough pixelated, now I'm still on what's called typical display. So if I switch here manually to high quality display, it will re-render the file. And since these are actually vector graphics here, I'm going to move this title a little bit out of the way. So this is one of my, one of the presentations or slides I use when I teach InDesign. And it's just trying to show that InDesign is in most workflows, it's like the last bit, it's the last piece, you know. So, and this system will scale from huge organizations and editorial departments and marketing and ad departments and whatever, because you can have here editorial front-end systems that actually structures the contents and places, you know, it on the pages and everything. And it scales all the way down to like when I make my InDesign book, where I do actually all of this myself. You know, I write the copy initially in Word, tables I do in Excel. Of course, I prepare all the pictures in Photoshop, graphics and Illustrator, and all that stuff, you know. So it all comes together in InDesign, and that's what we are talking about here. You know, that's where InDesign has its strength. And of course, as you all know, the traditional here, you send it to print and you create a PDF for print, and that process has become much less well, scary, much less vulnerable and haphazard as it used to be, because it's built into InDesign, and since Adobe also owns the PDF format and really takes this seriously. They have created PDF standards that more or less, they're not foolproof, but they're almost, you know. So you can rely on the quality of the output. But that's not all, because you can now publish online. There's a function up here. You can just go here and publish online, which I have clients. I've been doing that for. And they first print, create a print, hand it off to the print shop. Then I go in and add some interactivity, like go to next page and flip here and click here and make something show, you know, and stuff like that. And then you can just, while you're waiting for the print shop to complete their job, you can actually have the online version, enhanced version available at the same time the print job is ready. And of course, you can create ebooks, you can create interactive PDFs. I'm gonna have to remove this Flash animation thing because Flash doesn't exist.
Rest in peace, Flash.
Huh?
Rest in peace, Flash.
Oh yeah.
It makes your presentation look dated.
Well, I'm gonna sound like I'm maybe even older than I am, but I was actually there at the Macromedia conference in San Francisco when they launched Flash, right? That's a long time ago. I don't even want to think about it, but they call it Shockwave. You know, that's the what.
This user group had presentations when it first came out.
Awesome. I feel like I'm in the right place then. Thank you. I never got really good at using Flash at all, but you could.
Cornelius gave all the Flash presentations.
Yeah, I can imagine. Well, anyway, so this is it. So let's go back to the first page here. I mean, the first spread here again. So, you know, if I must have typed something stupid here, but don't I have a page 2 in this document? It must be very weird. You know, if your document doesn't start on page 1, which mine definitely does. Like you have lots of chapters in the book with you know, separate files, and you have, like, you're in chapter 3, it starts on page 64, and then you want to go to the first page of that document. You have to do a plus. You say jump, you know, command or control, and then you just do a +1 or +2, and that will be relative to the beginning of the document. Of course, I would have, if I had extra time, which I don't. I was thinking I want the same to go from relative to the end of the document, you know, like -2 or something to get to the second last page in the document. But in this case, for some reason, I wasn't allowed to go to page 2. Maybe because they're called 0-2. I think that's it. They have, you know, the page numbering system and the numbering schemes in InDesign is so we could actually have a series of 3 or 4 meetings just about all that stuff, and I'm not gonna delve into it now.
I like to use the Pages panel.
Pages panel.
Yeah.
Here it is.
Yeah, I think that's really the easiest way to do it. You get a good visual of it.
Oh yeah.
I usually detach it and put it somewhere where it's not
sure.
covering up the document.
Well, this is you know, the Pages panel is a gem. You can first of all, you should switch to horizontally because you will fit many more pages in here.
I didn't know you could do that.
Yeah, you right click and you have three options: view pages, horizontally, vertically, and by alternate layout. And I don't have, if I do this, you will see that I just have one column with letter. The original templates that I got for free here should be not too far away. I think I had it here. No, maybe here, if I'm lucky. Yeah, this is the original template. You'll see that it has actually two. It has the A4, like the European or ISO based version over here, and then you have the letter version over here. So this was extremely useful when we were creating. I stopped doing that but I was even teaching it. You know, the digital publishing system where you could create iPad publications in InDesign, and then you had like the horizontal and vertical version, you know, listed here right next to each other. So you can actually create a different layout, and you can actually have different contents. So you can have, we had all kinds of fun, you know, we created like a quiz. When you hold the iPad horizontally, you have the question, and then you can tilt it like vertical and you will get the answer, right? Because so you can edit one here and one there. I'm digressing again. And like I said, I think the DPS publishing system has become very, very high-end for large organizations and enterprises that can employ very, very specialized people. Whereas we, or myself, I'm using this publish online instead, which just pushes the InDesign document out with all the interactivity out there on like a website. So what I do here is you do horizontally, and then you can also right click and do panel options. And you can make those thumbnails much bigger. I kind of like the jumbo one. No, that was the, I'm sorry, that was not the one I wanted. Sorry. I changed the masters. That is not, I don't need that, but I want to change the pages thumbnails. They're in the opposite order here. So I often do this, and you can make the pages panel like really, really big. And you know, you can save workspaces, like every change you make, like the size and location of panels and all the settings for each individual panel. You can go and create a workspace, you know. So I usually have one that is called sort pages, you know, because when you see it like this, you get a good overview of your document, and you can move pages around here, you know, if you want to move this page over here. Or you can, well, I'm going to undo that because that's not part of my plan. So it'll probably mess something up. Yeah.
Tom, could you move the funny little Zoom meeting bar that's right near the top of the page?
Oh,
because we can't see through it.
I thought you didn't see it. I
Yeah,
thought that was only for me. I'm
It's
new
sorry.
to me.
Yeah, thank you for that. Absolutely.
Yeah,
Now
thank you.
I can move it onto my big screen over there, so I can still
Perfect.
see it. Thank you. I literally absolutely thought it was just for me. So, which it will be if you're using the Adobe Connect thing. You know, you have all those little things that only the presenter can see. Well, anyway, so I'm going to reset my workspace because I'm totally digressing. But I do understand. You want to navigate the document, you use the Pages panel. And of course, there's a whole bunch of shortcut keys. If you do page up, page down, can you believe it? It never works. Like this is page up. I end up like somewhere I don't want to be. And here you get half the spread and not half of nothing. So you have to use the Alt or Option key in conjunction with the page up, page down to make any kind of sense of it. Then we'll move from one spread to the next, you know. So there you go. It's all kinds of things in those shortcuts. Okay, so I better get going here. I was not going to talk about the performance because I just take their word for it, like I said. Automatic font activation, that's a new feature that is turned on by default. As far as I remember, no, it was not turned on by default, actually. So what you want to do is to go to Preferences, and it's under File Handling. So you see it says here, it's not. auto-activate Adobe fonts. And what it means is that, like this template, for instance, that I downloaded from Adobe stock, is using a whole bunch of fonts that I didn't have. And you get that regular error message when you open the document and everything. You do get a dialog box where you can set activate, But if you check this one, it won't make any difference right now. But if you check this one, from now on, if any document you open is missing a font or several fonts, and that font exists on Adobe font service, they will be activated automatically, which is, cool. So it's just another little checkbox that you need to check. Okay, so let's get on to something maybe even more useful. So I was going to show.
Tom, can I interrupt you for a second?
Absolutely.
In the chat room, Sherry is asking which font feature.
It's called font auto activation. Font auto activation.
So quick question about that, because what I've noticed that, when it was Typekit or whatever, it seems like they're still calling it Typekit. Sometimes they take fonts off of there. And if your file has that on there, are you kind of out of luck, or what's the situation there?
I haven't, thank goodness I haven't experienced that myself yet.
I did more early on when I went from Adobe bought Typekit and then it was all integrated into everything. I haven't done it recently. It's
changed a lot since they introduced it. At some point, there was a limit, I don't know, 100 fonts or something. So you had to go in there.
There's definitely like a limitation, but they've taken them off the list completely. Like they lost the licensing or something.
The only thing I can say, I agree with you, and it's a question I would like to investigate at some point. But I remember when they introduced the service, I was thinking about exactly that. Since we don't have the fonts anymore on our hard drive or anything like that. So the only thing that will actually work will be a PDF. And you can't extract the fonts from a PDF. Well, I know people who can, but it's usually not the whole font either. And you have to be totally nerdy. I have a friend or a colleague in Norway who he could probably speak whatever language is inside a PDF. He could speak PostScript. It's based on PostScript. So, but anyway, so I just recognize the concern, and I totally agree. It's a problem. I can't even think. Can they do that? Can they give fonts for free and then just remove them? That would be mean, I think.
Especially because it's not technically for free. You're paying the subscription fee, and that's part of it. If it wanted to take, what would be perfect is if they took it where they go, well, this font's no longer available with us, but here's where you can go buy it. That's at least something they could do, but I don't know if it's even on their radar.
Have you experienced that a font actually gone missing? Because I have not.
Yeah. Like I said, in the beginning, right after Adobe bought Typekit, and maybe like a year later when me or my teammates were trying to find something, and then it was just, we don't have that anymore. Here, try this other one. I'm like, no, sir. These are brand fonts. We have to do this.
So it's a huge. It's a huge thing.
It's licensing, and I understand. I do get it.
If you go over here, one of these, I don't know which one it is, but one of these, show activated fonts. It will show me which one you will end up on the web page that will log you into the fonts, adobe.com thing, and you will be able to see what you have, and you can of course purchase fonts. So, and I don't even know if you buy a font, you pay for a font. Do you get a file, like a copy for that, or?
Yeah.
From Adobe's fonts.
Oh, hard to say.
I haven't tried.
I haven't either.
There's so many nice fonts that are free, so.
Yeah.
Well, as long as they're designed properly, because there's a lot out there that are just not designed properly, or they don't have everything you need, all the different glyphs.
Mm-hmm. Okay, let me talk about, so that's what's new about fonts. Not much, but it could be important enough. We are going to talk a little bit about review, and I'm trying to watch the time here as well, because I'm having a great time. I hope you're enjoying it too, but I know I digress easily. I even said so at the beginning, but you know, as long as we have a meaningful conversation, I feel we're doing good.
Great,
Okay.
but try to wrap it up by around 7:30, please.
Yeah. So let me just show you real quick this function called share for review. I have not used it a lot, but I've used it a little, and it was extremely fun because I just go here and I create. So up here where they used to have that publish online button, it's now become a share button. You know, like a. Let me cancel this. So they have. Yeah, no, I had to go back here. They have export PDF, package, share for review, publish online, and export all on the same in the same place. That is awesome. And share for review is so simple. It's well, I only tried it a few times and it's been working stable. So touch wood. Let's hope it's working now as well. So at this point, I'm going to say, just to keep it simple, I'm going to say everybody who has this URL will be able to access this document. Okay. And I'm not going to require a password, which I could. And I'm not going to invite people because I'm going to share this URL with you guys in the chat pod if I manage how to do that. So I'm just going to click here, update link, and it will start publishing my file to the web. And when it's done, I haven't tried a big file like this before, so let's hope it doesn't take too long. Maybe I should open up one of those guys that is already there, just to have it clear here. This one. I mean, just in case it doesn't work. Am I done? There was an error. Yeah, there you can see. That's the demo devil. I'm gonna try.
Is that publish online new for InDesign, or that's been around for several years, right?
Excuse me, I didn't hear the question.
The publish online.
Oh yeah, that's
new, is it?
I think they're using the same technology, but it's totally different the way you do it or use it. So here it is. Let me see if I can.
Do you have to be logged into your account?
No.
No.
And you don't have to. You don't need an account to. You're not supposed to need an account to view it either. So let me try the test document I tried the other day, just to see if I can open it up here.
I like the new logo you just came up with.
Oh, please. That was just, I mean, what could I possibly type in there, you know, so. But anyway, here it is. So this one, and this is what it looks like online. And you're not supposed to get this, now I have 2 of them, 3 of them. No, man, I have so many of them. You are not supposed to have to log in with your Adobe ID at all, whether you're the publisher or the client. You know, this is like what you'd want to do with your clients. You want to send it over so they can go in here, and I'm going to zoom out here a little bit. And of course, this is an early version of that document, so it isn't, you know, totally updated quite yet. But I can go in here, and I can hide the annotations. This is the document the way it looked when it was last, you know, published. If you have the URL, you can go in here and just. So I'm not going to do that now anyway, but I could copy this URL and share it with you. Maybe I can try. Where's the? Maybe I should do that. Where's the?
Yeah, put in the chat room. Hover over your. You may have to stop screen sharing, but to see your icons. Down at the bottom of your.
Where's the?
Zoom panel,
no, I can't find the chat pod. I'm sorry.
That may be because you're screen sharing. You may have to stop.
Yeah, I'm up here. Pause participants. Oh, wait a minute. I can send non-verbal feedback. Oh no, I don't want to do that. Well, anyway, that is so weird. Wait, of course you should be able to.
Send it to me in an email, and I'll put it in the chat room.
Oh yeah, but it's all right. But let me see here. I'm not gonna, let's not mess with that right now. The deal is that I can go in here and add comments, right? What I should be able to do, which I'm not even sure it's working today, is of course you need to update the link. Whenever you make changes to it, you need to update it, right? So I'm sending up like a new one, and then I go back here, and then you will have to. I haven't found any other way of doing that than to refresh the actual web page, and then it will get all those, get all the updates here.
Where do these files live? Are they on the Adobe server?
There, you see it right here. It's called assets.adobe.com. Yeah.
And that comes with an Adobe Cloud membership?
Yeah. So as long as I have a license here as a publisher, I can share this with anybody who don't need any kind of license.
Wow.
In the user manual, so I can turn on and off the visibility of these. Of course, I can go in and change my own. I can go here and add something. I can draw something here. And whatever, make comments, what is this? And,
I think I'm going to use this more often because I've been just sending, especially long books and stuff, I've been sending them as PDFs, and the schematic as to how people get me changes in the PDF is just, it's not good.
I know, I agree.
They all have their different way to do it, or if they don't have the way because they just don't understand it. And I'm just like, no, just why would you do, like, they came up with this color coded, like whatever. I'm like, I don't understand what most of this is.
I had a client recently who, and I teach Adobe, I mean Acrobat too, so I should know the little details, but in Acrobat, if you put a sticky note, that's easy, but if you highlight something,
oh, I know. And then it's
you can actually add a comment to the highlight, but these guys, they were putting a sticky note next to the highlight. So one comment, every single comment would actually come over as 2 comments. And I tried to explain that you can just double click, you highlight it, and then you double click, and then you get a little, little bubble sticking out of it. But no. So here's the cool thing. There's a new panel. I'm back in InDesign. There's a new panel. I'm going here and doing, it's under comments, and it's called review. So this is the same as you saw the sidebar there on the web page. This is the same thing, So I would see I added, as a guest, I added an AAUG guest comment here. What is this? And that's a little drawing down there. I have not been able to use to work with a client using this, but I'm very excited about it. It seems to be very, very accurate. It's a couple of little things, like when you're on the web page, you need to, because I can't find any like refresh button or anything like that. Maybe there even is one. Maybe one of these, I'm not sure what this is. It's probably share or something.
Isn't that funny? It's like you try to do icons that work really well, and then there's always one someone else made that you're like, I don't know.
I know. But anyway, so that is very promising. So that's share for review. Another thing that I'm not going to show because I don't really have any libraries here. You can also share your libraries.
I love libraries.
Yeah, you can share your Creative Cloud libraries. Yeah. So and I hardly ever use them. So I have so many Adobe IDs, and I get lost sharing them, or which one is which. But of course you can go to you can open up the libraries over here, and fairly easy to share them. I think Roman showed that in the last meeting a month ago. So I'm just going to fast forward over that. And I see I'm talking so much, I'm running out of time. But this panel, I think it's got great potential. Just need to get some, mileage on it myself to see exactly what we can do with it. Okay. So let me go back here and move to my next little topic. Yeah, that was share for review. We're right here. So let's go to here. Yeah, this is cool. This is called subject-aware text wrap. And if you ever have been using text wrap, it's a pretty powerful function already. And any object you can have can be used to push around the text, So if I go here and if, let's say I draw something here, you know, if I draw, I'm drawing a circle, you can't see it. I hope it shows when I'm done. Oh, I know what it is. This document that somebody else created has serious amount of layers, so I'm not really sure what layer I'm on right now. But it should actually show, so now I'm a little worried. You know, it's the demo devil. Everybody knows that. If you try to make a, I mean, if you try to make a presentation, you know, it doesn't matter how many times you, all my keyboard shortcuts are not going to zoom up there. So I'm not sure what's going on. But anyway, let me, so anything you can create or put in here, even another text frame, you can order it to, you know, please don't overlap that other text, push it to the side, you know. So I'm going to do one feeble little attempt again and draw something here. Can anybody see why it's not filling? Because it says here it's a fill, and it should not be. Let me just
Try putting a wrap on it and see what happens.
Oh, that's good. Oh yeah, I just decided here to I've just applied an object style to get rid of. I can do the placeholder, you know, see here. So thank you. That's a very good point. We at least we will see you know, like where it was. But anyway, like this thing, the text wrap function has been there a long time. It's gradually improved. They add a little bit. You have many kinds of wrapping, like in this case, it wraps around the, just moving it here with the keyboard a little bit, you know, it wraps around the container, which is always rectangular, right? Or could be square. You can have wrap around object shape, and then you have all these guys on wrap, don't show on the sides of this and don't even show on top of this, you know, I mean, at the bottom of this. So you can control that very well, and you have the offset and everything. But the deal is, what do you do when your picture doesn't have that shape? So, and there is actually one thing you can do here. There is an option here that is not available for this object because it's a vector object. So I'm going to put a picture in here, okay? So I'm just there's a shortcut for the opposite of select all, you know, select nothing. It's Shift Command A or Shift Control A. I do that so often when I work with InDesign, because you don't want accidentally something to be selected when you place something, right? Because it will replace it. And InDesign is very trustful. InDesign always thinks we know what we're doing, even when we don't. So if I, for instance, select this text frame, and of course, I've long forgotten that I have that selected, and I place an image, InDesign says, okay, Tom wants to replace that text with an image. And that's what InDesign will do, right? So that's why I do the command is right here, right next to select all, is deselect all. So you just make sure that nothing is selected. Then you will get the loaded place gun or place cursor. And I'm going to do, which one should I do? Let me do these little bikers, because that is a pretty cool picture to use. So I'm just going to place this here. I'm going to make it bigger than I need. Just going to click here though. All right. So what I'm going to do, I'm not going to stretch it, you know, we should never stretch. I'm just making the frame bigger now, and then I do the fill frame command. So, which is this command. Remember, all those fill, there's always a container, is always contents. And most of those commands are very useful, but they do have some crazy commands in here that say, like this one, fit content to frame, which is terrible, because it will usually end up distorting your image. So if I had to say, that command should not even be there, you know, because the content will fill the frame no matter how disproportionate it might be, you know, so that's terrible. But anyway, I'm going to put this now below the text, and there's so many crazy layers here, so I just need to drag this down somehow. There you go. So now the text is actually sitting on top of my image, okay? So what I want here is to have, I want the text to wrap nicely around those bikers. And first I'm going to have to help them a little bit. I can do this myself. Of course, I should get rid of this. I thought I did get rid of it. No, it's still there. Okay, so that was not what I wanted. See if I can make sure I get what I wanted. Oh yeah, I'm gonna select the text frame. You know, if you want to select something that is 100% covered by something else, you can go through the layers by using the Control key or Command key and click.
I do that constantly.
So the first click will select the topmost object, which is the text. It should be the text. If I wanted to, so I can actually remove the text from the grass there just by regular operation, right? And I am going to try to delete that thing and hope nothing bad happens. I could also, of course, make I want a little distance here. From
text inset.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that. Yeah. So here's the deal. And this is what's new in this version. You have to select the image. So you have to make sure you have the image selected. You go to the text wrap panel. You do this, the third option, which is called wraparound object shape, which
I'm getting way too excited about this, Tom. I need you to get to it.
Yeah, you need to go here to do the select subject. That's what I'm trying to do.
Okay, that's what I needed to know. Sorry, I get a little impatient sometimes.
Yeah, let's see what happens. I'm glad I have a cheater document ready, but you see, I'm not sure if you can see what happened here.
Yep.
Very tiny.
There's this is the technology from Photoshop that had been shipped over to InDesign, right?
Yeah.
And it's a select subject, which is the select functions in Photoshop have become crazy, right? I can increase the diameter here a little bit.
That's great.
That's still pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so
that's amazing.
I understand.
Great.
And I can actually, if I double click again, you know, we talked about double clicking on a text frame and escaping out of it. You can also double click an image. So you effectively select the image inside the frame.
Yeah.
So now I can move the picture.
Oh, cool.
Especially if I do it right.
Okay, I got a little excited. I'm sorry.
So I can move the.
Did I?
There, I got it.
I'm trying to think if
you
I
can
needed
move the
that
image inside the frame.
I just did a children's book and they had most of the pictures on one side, but they had these little cutouts. I really would have
cool.
I had that. I had it available to me. I didn't know to use it. Crazy.
Yeah. So this is cool. This is a new function, and that's what it does. It's not like intelligent. I mean, but it's smart.
Yeah.
I mean, it's working when it's working. I tried with a couple of different images, and it I mean, don't expect miracles, but it's a pretty nifty thing. It's time saving.
Well, you know, when Adobe does it, or when they bring seminars to us, they always show the image that works the best for what they're trying to do.
Oh yeah, of course.
Try to do it, you're like, what?
Prepared.
How do why isn't it? So yeah.
It's all cheating. I was working in Norway for many years as I guess they call it an evangelist. You know, they paid me to travel around the country.
Sure.
And then I got manuscripts, scripts, and demo files and everything. And you won't believe how, and you know, I had to practice, of course, and then turn off everything that interrupts the flow of the presentation, like dialog boxes and everything. Never show again, because those were the opposite of teaching. You know, it was just show the feature and don't explain anything. When I did the rehearsals with the Adobe representative, he said, Tom, you're an instructor. Stop doing that. Don't explain. You're going to make people, you know, interested and ask questions. And you know, that's what you're
not doing magic in a fancy outfit. You're just giving us software tips.
Yeah. So anyway, so here's another new thing. I'm going to cut this short now. The fine change dialog box. It's a biggie. It's very, very, man, it's,
Oh yeah, I saw that recently when I was working on
we
something.
could,
I'm like,
we
well,
could
that's
talk
new.
about this. Can you see it clearer now, or did I ruin everything?
No, that was good.
Yeah.
I just tried to zoom in.
No, it was good. It was good.
Okay. So in Windows, you need to place the cursor before you zoom, because else you will end up somewhere else. But anyway, there's a lot of things here. We could talk hours and hours on all these features that you can search for object styles, and you can search for all kinds of stuff in here. Even use grep, you know, it's like a, what's it called? General, what's it called again? General,
Someone in our
regular
group always
expression.
knew it, but I just don't.
If you want to just, you know, smell what grep looks like, you can look at some of these ready-made searches, like double typographers quotes, and you see this is actually grep styles.
You know, I use this more than anything else in InDesign. When I get files that are Microsoft Word or something,
Exactly.
I automatically take them into InDesign, clean it
You
up.
have these cool things. This is grep for find the phone number and format it correctly and stuff.
Yeah,
like
I figured that those were in there for a long time, because I always use the text and the grep, but color and object and glyphs, those are brand new. I've only started seeing those the last month or so.
Color was added in the latest. So this is,
and then in your swatch things, there's find this color like everywhere, which can be a mess, but this is better.
So this is something that a lot of people have, including myself. You know, we thought maybe it would never come because it might be too complicated, but you can actually search for one color and replace it. You know, you can. One thing is to find colors. You want to find, you know, where is this color used, and you can just click here, go find next.
Replace it globally?
Yeah.
Wow.
You change color here. You can, and I want to change that to something else, and I can say find next, and I can do, of course, I can do change. You see that object change color, or I can do change all, which would probably mess up my document completely. 39 instances saved, I mean changed, and then of course you can save these changes. Every query you made in any of these 5 pages, you can save.
That.
And they will appear on this list, you know, so you can go in here and do them. So that's a killer app, killer function for those who need it, and that is pretty cool. So the last thing I want to mention now is, I know I'm running out of time, but if you can bear with me another 5 minutes, I'll just talk about this. This last function that is really among the new stuff. You can actually see if you go to the new nice home page inside InDesign, got the little house up there at the top left. If I can find my mouse pointer, and you see at the bottom left, not very big link, but it says it was new. And it opens up a little thing here. So I've been talking about share your libraries briefly, subject aware text wrapping. There's a little animations here, you know, what you can do. Now, this is the one that I haven't covered so far. It's called Hsb Support. And so we could do this extremely brief, which we probably will have to do. And you click here to go back to InDesign. You know, when they called this a start screen and you had to close all documents to be able to go back to that start screen, I was teaching people just forget about it. And I showed them how to turn it off like forever. But now, since it's the way it should be, you know, you can go to the home screen while you have many documents open, it suddenly becomes useful. But anyway, so are you familiar with the Hsb color model? Let me,
please remind us what it is.
Yeah.
Hue, saturation, brightness.
So I didn't know that was a color model. Our presenter had been telling us to do lab for everything, or LAB, because
that's interesting, because that is that makes sense up to, yeah. It makes sense.
If that's what you started out with, but if you didn't start out with that and then changing it gets kind of scary.
Let me do, I'm just want to figure out what page I'm going to do. I'm going to page 9. So here's my, so here's the RGB, you know, which is a color model that our screen uses, all our screen uses, the TVs and phones and everything. And then you have the CMYK, which is in many respects the opposite, which is what we use for print, right? And if I double click over here on the in the toolbox panel, like double click that little swatch thing, you see that it will open up here the color picker, which is very similar to the one you find in Photoshop. And now it's actually almost identical, because it used to be, you see this Hsb was missing.
Now
right?
I know what you're saying. Okay, I'm with you now.
Yeah. So the Hsb color picker is here. It wasn't there a couple of months ago, or the value is here. So the deal is that the color picker, you don't really use that, and you don't have to use that, you know, in InDesign so much, because you create the swatches over here and you save them. But if you want to work with, let's say you get the values in Hsb, which is hue, saturation, and brightness. And the way this thing works, and I think that might be the last thing I will focus on right now, is the way the whole dialog box works, and it works the same in Photoshop, by the way, and to some point in Illustrator. You will, because all these, remember, from a computer point of view, all colors are just numbers, you know, all numbers. And there's so many ways a computer or numbers can describe a color. And for the CMYK, it's fairly simple, because you have those 4 colors. If you want to print color pictures, it's somewhere between 0, nothing, and 100% cover of each of those 4 colors. Now for the screen, it's a little bit more complex because you have so many ways of doing it. Now, and it's 3-dimensional. Just forget about the CMYK. CMYK only applies to print. But everything else, you have lab color, that's the lightness and the A and B channel system over here, lab. You have the RGB, which is the system that our screens use, a value for the red, green, and blue channel, somewhere between 0 and 255. So it's 8-bit, you know, per channel. It's 256 levels. And it's just it's just because engineers always start counting at 0, that it goes from 0 to 255. If anyone who's not an engineer created the system, you will start on 1 and count till 256, right? Because that's the way, I mean, normal people count. Okay, but anyway, it's 3-dimensional. It's very difficult to work with 3-dimensional stuff on a 2-dimensional screen. So the way they do it is that you can only pick one of these radio buttons here. And whatever you pick on the radio button will be displayed on this vertical slider here next to the square, okay? So when I click hue, so the H is for hue, I get the rainbow. You know, that's the color of the color. It's the hue of the color, right? And the other 2 axes here, because there are 3 axes then, you have the saturation here from left to right, and you have the brightness top to bottom. So when I click in here, you will see that I can move up and down the slider, and then I can click here and I will get 3 values. An interesting thing here is that, see if I can zoom in here real quick again, is that there's actually 4. If you just disregard CMYK, all the other 4 ones are completely analog to each other, meaning that if you change a value somewhere, I mean, let's say I enter a value here, that's the degree. And how can you have a degree on a rainbow scale like that? It's because it's basically the color wheel, right? It's 360 degrees around a circle, but they don't display it as a circle here. But if I know what number I want, I can type that number in, and you will see that all the other values change. And the reason this is useful is basically because some people order a color and they want to use the HSB values, and you don't have to do the math because the system will do it for you. And of course, the web colors down here, this is just, these numbers are exactly the same as the RGB colors. You know, those are the RGB colors that are just converted to the web format, you know, the HTML format, I should say, for denoting a color using the RGB system with the hexadecimal codes. All right, I'm almost done. Almost done. Thank you for your patience. I think this has been great fun. Of course, I had this plan about talking so much about color models and stuff, and of course I run out of time, which I always do. But it's nice to have HSB in here. You have it in Photoshop, and this dialog box now looks very much like the one you find in Photoshop. Yeah. So last page of my, yeah, this is the pasted page. Last page of my document is this, and I just want to mention it. You know, I'm not sure if these, it's just like two symbols. One is the teapot, which is a work of art. I think it's called Teapots for Masochists. And of course, my favorite, I think one of my very favorite paintings of all times is the Paris Street Impressionist. It's actually, it was painted right there on location in Paris, on the Ireland place in Paris in the 1870s, I think it was. But it's now actually hanging up in the museum, and it's up there in Chicago. It's actually in the United States. It's in Chicago. I haven't been there. That's on my high up on my bucket list to get up there. I love it because of this crazy composition, and I could talk about that painting for a long, long time. But when I teach like design, you know, because after InDesign 1,
Tom,
yeah.
Could I propose, since you've run 15 minutes into our volunteer meeting tonight,
sure.
Maybe, do you think that design principles could be a whole nother meeting that you would lead? We have something for March, but maybe you could do it for April if you don't have somebody else wanting to present then?
Yeah, my question is basically, are these things relevant? What we can do is I can cut it up in little chunks, and we can do like 10 minutes, you know, one single point, and I can when I really have to, I can do 10 minutes. I mean, I don't have to do, you know, run out of time. And we can,
I think it's a great idea. You can either intersperse like 10 minutes at the beginning of every meeting,
like
or
a
at
little
the end
tip,
of every meeting,
or at the end, or whatever, you know, if time permits, like 10 minutes, 15 minutes, because there's so many things that are beyond the technical side of it that we really, really need. And just what I was about to say, very usual reaction after even the first day of introduction to InDesign courses, people say, okay, now I understand the tool a little bit, but can't you teach me how to create something that works? You know, how can I make something that looks good? And, you know, and I just have to say, I'm sorry, this course is like very technical, very tool oriented. And there's very, very little time we can, you know, because there's so many tools to cover, right?
I'd love to have you know, I never went to art school. I'd love to have the design principles. And I've seen, and I've attended some classes on it that have been very helpful for me.
It's endless, bottomless. And it's so much fun.
Right. And we have so many creative people in the group that I think everybody might have a different opinion and something else unique to offer. So the big question is whether we do it as a segment of our monthly meetings, or do we have a dedicated, at least a kickoff meeting that's all about design principles?
So that is actually the only reason I brought it up right now and made this page, is to ask that question, you know, so we can chew on it. We don't have to make a decision right now,
okay.
But we can go either way. We can have a whole meeting dedicated to something cool. Sure, Carol can contribute there. Lots of cool things, either from our own work history or something like this that
Yeah.
I've been teaching. I've been using this painting when I'm teaching journalists how to understand newspaper layout, for instance.
Mhm.
And
I just want to interrupt you because I want to thank you for the presentation you gave tonight on what's new in InDesign. And shall I stop the recording now as we get into talking about future programming?
Awesome. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you
Thank
very
you,
much for that.
Yeah. Mhm.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Tom.
Thanks, Tom.
Thank you,
Thank
Tom.
you all.
Nice to meet you.
Likewise.